okay, it's still an act of war to kidnap a president. And
All
you
right,
can
but
be fine with it, but it's still an act of war. It's still him
no,
going
I'm not
against
fine
it.
with it. I
Let's
loved it.
talk about
You're making it seem like he lied, as if he got into office and escalated the war.
he knew that, and yet to win office,
No, he
he
didn't know
told
that. He
you
didn't know that. He didn't know that.
you think he genuinely thought that before he became president, he would be able to. Hello, Nine Breda. What is going on? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing fantastic.
Me, I can say Trump is the most consequential and greatest, honest, most forthcoming president in American history, at least modern American history. Did you like what I said there, boy?
No. Okay, wait. Consequential, I'll give you that. Consequential, yeah, we have no argument on that. Honest, I mean, there are Wikipedia pages dedicated to his thousands of lies. And I'm not saying politicians don't lie. Don't get me wrong with that. But Trump is on a different category of lying.
I think Trump is micromanaged, and I think all politicians may lie equally. He lies less. I don't think he has the ability to lie. He's so honest.
Okay, wait. Let's be serious for a second, because when we're talking about Trump, there's like basically
Wait, this guy thinks he thinks I'm joking. I'm going to turn my camera on. Forgive my bonnet, bro. Forgive
oh,
my
okay.
bonnet. I'm not joking. This is
Okay, I
not a
believe you're not
troll.
joking. But let's just
Oh,
be
okay.
let's be real right here. When we're talking about Trump, there's like a way to mythologize him, basically. Like people really talk about him in like extraordinary ways. You believe he is physically capable of lying, correct?
Of course, he's human.
Okay, okay, great, fantastic. We're just not in North Korea levels of stuff here. Okay, now I would contest that Trump has lied a ridiculous numbers of times, such that have you seen the, as I said before, have you seen the Wikipedia pages and PolitiFact pages dedicated to his thousands and thousands of lies?
Yeah, I believe it's not. It's disingenuous to point at these sources. I know you can't see me because I got quotations of sources. Seeing as that no other president's lies were counted,
Oh
right?
no, wait,
So
Biden's lies were absolutely
how can you
counted.
say he's the biggest liar or a liar on another level when you don't have a measure to compare it to?
No, wait. PolitiFact, like through history, has like ranked presidents' lies. They definitely did it with Biden in between Trump. Like you can see this, and like just with like literally just counting all the sentences they've said, Trump has lied a ridiculous amount more. But look, let's not talk in these abstracts about how much Trump has lied. Let's just talk about like a few specific examples. Is one of the reasons you like Trump because he said he'd be a peace president?
Um, because he'll be what?
A peace president.
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe he has followed through on that, or do you think he was lying about wanting to, about lying about not doing any more wars?
I think standing outside of the house, looking in, you can promise until the burden of the responsibility when you get in the house actually has to shift your plan, right?
Oh,
So he
well,
didn't lie to us
no.
just that. Whoa, hold on a
You.
second.
All
Hold
right,
on.
continue.
Hold on. So he didn't lie to us about wanting to be a peace president. It was just when he got in and he seen what he needed to do, it wasn't. It's
So
like looking the job from outside, not knowing that
Trump
when you get in to
needed
do
to
the
invade
job.
Iran. He absolutely needed to invade Iran and
First of
bomb
all,
like
we didn't invade
157.
Iran. We
Huh?
didn't invade Iran. We didn't invade Iran. We didn't invade
Did we
Iran.
bomb them?
That's not an invasion.
Is that an act of war?
That's an act of war. Yeah.
Okay. So did we need to commit an act of war on Iran?
I would say this. I disagree with the attacks on Iran.
Okay,
I do feel,
great.
yeah, I do feel like they went against a lot of the promises he made, but I also understand standing outside of the job. When you get into the job, you realize that there are other things.
Has he
Like you
been
get
in the
hired
job
for.
before?
Hold on, you get hired for a job, right? Of course, you could do the job in this McDonald's. You go to the next McDonald's, and there are things that you got to do that you didn't do for the last McDonald's. You said, "I'm gonna do this when I get into this McDonald's."
Okay, I
It's
like that
just
analogy. Except we're not in America too. We're just in America 4 years later, and he could have just.
and things evolve into a different phase. making
And
it
yet
a
you
different
don't have
America.
to bomb another country. You just don't have to. And Trump explicitly said he would not do, then yet he had. Let's talk about Venezuela. He didn't have to bomb all those boats out in the Atlantic Ocean,
I
and yet he
love
did.
that.
Okay, but that was objectively an act of war that he did. And so like you can think that is justified. And yet he went back on his promise of not starting or doing any more acts of war.
That wasn't a war.
I'm sorry. Kidnapping the president of a country is 1,000,000,000% an act of war. I mean, like,
That's
just because
not
a war didn't
that's not
spawn from
kidnapping.
it, that does not mean that it's not an act of war.
We're
If
charging
somebody,
him. He's
if
being charged.
China
He's in New
kidnapped
York right
Trump,
now.
if China kidnapped Trump and charged him with whatever, that would still be an act of war, even if China says we have a good reason to do it.
Listen, if listen to me, if Trump decides to be a dictator and NATO decides to turn on America to arrest the dictator president, it is not an act of war. It would be an act of war because it's against a dictator, but it's not kidnapping. That's what I meant to say. It's not kidnapping. They're arresting somebody that is a criminal.
Oh, okay,
It's an
okay. We
international criminal.
understand how
Just the same way how they want to
wait, I'm
arrest.
sorry.
Hold on.
We
So I'm
understand
gonna
how
say this one thing.
arresting
Just
and
like they,
kidnapping can define the same action if you're looking at it from different sides, correct?
okay, what makes it one and the other? The law, correct?
And your interpretation
Exactly.
of the
So
law.
we went by the law when we arrested Maduro.
I
You
would
can't
a
call it a
thousand
kidnapping.
percent disagree with that.
Sing that song, but that doesn't make it less lawful.
Okay, it's still an act of war to kidnap a president. And
All
you
right,
can
but
be fine with it, but it's still an act of war. It's still him
no,
going
I'm not
against
fine
it.
with it. I
Let's
loved
talk
it.
about Ukraine. He said that he
Yeah.
would, before his presidency started, he would get Ukraine solved. Is Ukraine solved?
No, Ukraine is not solved. In fact,
So
it's
that was a lie,
escalated.
correct? Oh, yeah.
Well, it
So,
wasn't a lie because we've seen him take every single measure, including putting the Russian leader
I'm
into
sorry.
the beef. Hold
Did
on, sir.
did
Hold
the
on.
thing end?
Hold on. It didn't end, but it does. You're making it seem like he lied, as if he got into office and escalated the war by himself. He took every measure to try to bring the war down. It didn't work
Uh,
because the Democrats have put their foot too far deep
my,
into
my,
it.
my point my point isn't that it was even possible for him to end it. I don't think it was. And my point is that he knew that, and yet to win office,
No, he
he
didn't know
told
that. He
you
didn't know that. He didn't know that.
you think he genuinely thought that before he became president, he would be able to. Maybe he's that delusional, but if he's that delusional, then he's insanely delusional and therefore isn't
Wow,
qualified to be president.
that wasn't even a good point, bro.
He literally is delusional if he believed he could end the Ukrainian war because he became before he became president, and we know that because he became president and didn't end the Russian-Ukrainian war. So he
Did
it
he
was
attempt?
literally deluded if he believed that.
Did he make every single? Did he take every single measure to try to end the
That's not
war?
my argument. That's not my argument.
No, no,
He
no, no.
said
But you're making
he
it seem as if he didn't try to end the war and he lied to the American people and he's not a peace president. Ultimately, the war had
yes,
escalated.
as the evidence
No,
shows.
he's a peace president.
Sorry, 1 second. Cam, I will let you. I will let you go on soon. But you know, we're still having. We're having a good faith conversation. And then remember to like, share, and subscribe to this post. I'm running for office here in Tampa, and we're trying to get more people into politics. Help me out by spreading my message.
We
Sorry,
really don't need more liberal white dudes in power, bro. You guys are weird.
liberal. I take that as an offense.
Well, I'm trying to offend you. You're a liberal.
I don't think you're. I don't think you hate me or anything. Like we're having a good conversation, man.
No, I don't hate you.
Great. Okay. So, all right. Well,
I just don't want your policies to be enacted in whatever area you're running
what
in.
policy? Okay. Okay. Do you know my policy? Do you want to know my policy?
I do actually want to know your policies. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm a teacher. We have in Florida the 50th lowest wages in the entire country. That means because of that 1/3 of our or 1/4 of our teachers have less than 3 years of experience. Because if they get that experience, they move on to another state because their wages are very low here. If we want our kids properly educated, then we need to invest in our teachers, in our communities, and raise their wages to the national average. Do you agree with that?
Raise the teachers' wages. Teachers' wages are locally, government locally funded. Am I correct?
Yeah, and you can still raise the national average.
Like, yeah,
Or the state average, sorry, the state average.
yeah. I was a little confused. Okay, so you're trying to raise the state average.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to raise the state average for your what are you district? What are you running in?
No. For the entire state. Every kid
What are you
in
running
this
for?
state,
What are you running
I'm running
for?
for a state house in Tampa, in South Tampa and
State
West Chase.
house.
Now, so that creates the laws in the state. And what we can do is invest and create grants for localities to invest in their teachers and ensure that their teachers are getting raises that bring us up to the national average. And that's just what we need to do. Additionally, that really stimulates the economy because education systems are the largest employers in many counties, especially in
Where,
Hillsborough,
where do you
where I'm running
stand
for.
on taxes going up or down? Where do you stand on energy policies? Where do you stand on? Yeah, there's a
So
lot
energy.
more.
Let's talk
Okay,
about energy policy for a second.
because
You
it
need a
sounds
free.
very. Listen, hold on. Let me hold on. I asked you a question. Let me give you feedback on what you proposed. It sounds very socialistically. That's a made up word. Very socialist. You're trying to do more spending as I see it. I'm a spender cutter. That's what you know. That's the kind of person I'm at. Now
And
you're
so
gonna
what?
say, "Well, Trump is spending more." Blah blah blah. That's a separate conversation. All right. But we can have about Thomas Massey getting voted out. Where does MAGA want to go? That we could go into that. But where do you stand on all these other policies? So I know if you're a socialist or not. I'm trying to determine what are you because you say you're not a liberal. So
So I do want to be very clear. My primary care is economics. And when I look at economics, I do not care about what system you follow. I care about specific policy, whether that policy helps or hurts people. Because when the population at large talks about capitalism or socialism, when they think about capitalism, really what they're thinking about is more competition and a free market. And when they think about socialism, they really think about helping everybody to succeed. And the truth is, in order to do either of those, you need both of those. So I don't care about the system, I care about policy. That's why I like that you asked about like energy markets. We should have a free energy market. Instead, what we have in Florida are state-run monopolies. And that's why a Canadian owns TECO, Tampa Electric Company, and we're paying the third highest rates in the entire country. In fact, three of the top 10 energy markets, highest price energy markets in the entire country, are in Florida because we've allowed monopolies to run our lives. In the Sunshine State, we need to be investing in solar. So we're taking the free energy that's dropping in our heads every single day and converting it in money for ourselves. Additionally, last cycle I ran against this guy Danny Burgess because he proposed a bill called to limit the amount of money, the amount of energy you're allowed to sell back to the grid. That's ridiculous. If you're a power plant, which you will be with solar panels on top of your roof, then you should be able to sell your energy to the grid back or for the same amount that a company is. On taxes, we need to lower taxes on the average citizen. In Florida, the bottom 20% of income earners pay 12% of their income as taxes. That's way too high. We desperately need to lower on them.
okay, so it sounds like you want to stifle the oil sector by proposing these green energy solar panels. And I like the lowering of the taxes, but you specifically kind of highlighted the lower brackets. It means that you want to raise the taxes on the top percentile of income earners, kind of decentralizing free enterprise. So you're wrapping this stuff packaged up nice, but I can hear your socialist leftist ideas in it. You know what I mean? But I see you. I
Okay,
do see it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
okay. When did capitalism start? Do you know?
Uh, Not for. I mean, I have an idea, but I don't want to give the wrong answer. So you tell me.
Fair enough. Adam Smith wrote the oh my, I can't remember, the Wealth of Nations. That's what it's called, in 1776, and that was really the first. Well, it's considered one of the first books about economics, but it was the really what started us thinking about capitalism and the free hand of the market. When we talk about capitalism, what we want to see is the market regulating itself. That the invisible hand of the market is going to make sure that people who are producing good goods win out over people producing bad goods. That better businesses win out over bad businesses. The way that you ensure a free market is making sure there aren't monopolies that take it over. It's making sure that there's really truly free trade. You need some regulations in order to create a free market. And Adam Smith himself was a major voice for that. a huge problem that we have is corrupt people saying socialism is when you regulate the market. That's not true. Capitalism is when you regulate the market to make sure there is a free market. And that's exactly why I don't like talking about socialism and capitalism when we're having political conversations, because it's about the policy. Does the policy create a more truly competitive market, or does it create a market that's controlled by just a few businesses? Because either you can be your own power plant, or you can put all of your money into fewer and fewer, bigger and bigger businesses.
Okay, so I never tied socialism to the second two ideas to socialism, to the spending for teachers. Pardon me, hold on. I had to sneeze. My bad.
Hmm? Thanks for not blasting everyone's ears off. And remember, like, share, and comment. We want to get our message out, and we're having a great conversation here. And if you have other people who want to talk to me, I'd love to talk to them too.
So ultimately, I'm not against regulation. We need to keep a standard of living and a control in a nation that can be manipulated with influence and money. So I fully understand where regulation comes in. I'm not anti-regulation. I'm anti-over-regulation, because that can, stifle projects and progress and, hinder the country in many ways. So for
Yep.
you to say that, yeah. So don't say that. Uh, I'm saying like you're imposing an idea on me that I'm saying that capitalism is less regulation. I didn't even bring regulations up, right? What you got to understand is that had nothing to do. That didn't speak to your point that overtaxing the top percentage of income earners can decentivize wealth, right? The invisible hand of the free market speaks to purchasing power of the people deciding what's valuable and what's not, right?
As long as we
Nothing has
have a free market.
exactly. So I
And
just want you to
if we
clarify:
have
do you want to continue overtaxing the top percent of income earners just because
when
they're
Donald
top percent of income earners, or not?
when Donald Trump says "Make America Great Again," he is referring. Do you know when he's referring to basically?
I might have the answer, but I don't want to get it wrong guessing. You tell me.
The 1950s, when America was at its most prosperous, when our productivity was growing the most. Do you know what the top tax rate was then? When we were the most
Yeah, it
prosperous,
was close to 50% after the
nope,
World War.
95% on every dollar after 50 million. That was the top tax rate. Ever since about 1980, when Reagan destroyed our tax system, when he detangled minimum wage from inflation, that's when we see a huge wealth gap start forming in America, just like it had been during the Gilded Age. If we allow that market to become less free, for it to become monopolized, and for billionaires to take over more and more of the wealth, what we see is not a free market. And so it's not overtaxing billionaires, is correcting our market to allow the money to actually
Hold
flow
on a
and
second.
not be pooled in fewer and fewer people's hands. Does that make sense?
Define free market.
A free market is where people have a reasonable choice in where to spend their money and in what jobs to take. When people are too constrained by costs and when people are too constrained by opportunity, it is not a free market anymore. When there are monopolies that have price setting
That's
powers and
that's not
wage
true.
setting powers and control a market above 30%, it's no longer free.
No, that's not true. That's an idea you're imposing because you may not like the system or you may not like the results of the system right now. But that's not in the definition of free market. That if they're oppressed, because that's kind of like what you're alluding to. If they don't have the options that a free market is supposed to offer, then it's not a free market anymore. When they still have the deciding power in whatever field or system that they're trying to move in forward to. So don't tell me,
Okay,
oh
so it's
yeah,
not a binary
if they have a
system.
weaker
It could be
dollar and the CPI is up and wages are not outpacing inflation and the job market is suffering, then it's no longer a free
no,
market.
I'm not
That's
talking about a
actually
depression.
ridiculous.
I'm not talking about a depression. I'm talking
No, I
about
didn't say nothing about depression.
well, no,
But
that's
you
that's
define
the
free
you no, no,
enterprise.
hey man, wait, come on. This is becoming combative. I'm not being combative with you. The set of circumstances you just described were what a depression is like. So I'm saying I'm not describing depression. I'm talking about a system in which wages are at subsistence level because the ownership class keeps them that way, and where they explicitly keep a larger wealth gap than the market actually creates by itself. And we can see how policy has created that. Like the system that we live in didn't just be created naturally. People chose to create policy that led to this system that we're in right now. It's not just a natural, this isn't the natural way that things are. And we could choose to ensure that a system works properly rather than just for a few people. We have more
Yeah,
poverty now than we've had since the last Gilded Age.
and you're trying to go around the fact that socialist policies is what you want to kind of slide in to equalize this system that has been uh, that this gap had been widened by Reagan era
Uh,
policies.
what policy of so we talked about increasing teacher wages. I don't think we actually disagreed about that. I talked about investing in solar. What's wrong with that?
That's going to stifle the oil sector. It's going to cause inflation and
I'm sorry,
whatever.
do you want a free market or do you want us to only subsidize oil? What you're
Yeah,
advocating for is socialism, but
no,
only for oil
no, we're not
companies.
trying to subsidize oil.
You're saying
But we are
stop investing in a different form of energy because then these people won't be as profitable.
no, because the oil market is the prices are volatile and it's dependent on future forecasts and regulation whether things can move, and the cost of oil going up is gonna make the cost of everything else going up
Which is why we should
go up.
diversify our investment portfolio and diversify our energy portfolio to make sure we
How is
take.
okay? Let me. A better question is, how are you going to go about expanding solar options?
Great question. Solar is already the cheapest form of energy. It is literally cheaper than oil right now. And being in the sunshine state, we can take, we can take massive advantage of our location. So much of our land is very easy to put solar on top of, whether it's on just the roofs of commercial buildings, on top of parking lots, or on the top of residential buildings. We can also do utility grade solar scaling. There is a city a few hours south of Tampa that when the last hurricane hit, which destroyed so many homes in the area and destroyed the power grid for so many homes, they stayed powered the entire time because they were built on a with a solar utility with a utility grade solar farm next to them. It's just so much better for our entire state, our entire country, really.
I could look. That could be bad. So I got bad allergies. Hold on.
You're good. Thank you for everyone chirping away in the chat. Sorry, I'm not looking at y'all. Corporate welfare, yeah, there's a lot of that going around. Why do we care about the oil companies when we have more sustainable energy and just cheaper? It is, if you are capitalist, you want to go for the more efficient option, and that is simply the more efficient option. Additionally, we don't want to go start wars, start bombing Iran to get so they don't have their blockade over the Strait of Hormuz so that we can get more oil. It's ridiculous that we have to go do this. I mean, we don't have to. Trump just decided to, but it's ridiculous that's even an option for energy when we can literally be farming the energy that's falling on our head all the time. Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to go over? We've been going for a while.
What do you mean? It's only been like 10 minutes, man.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, is there anything else you
Yeah,
wanted to
you
talk
got to
about?
understand that solar panel is dependent on the sun, and Florida is a big storm state, a big hurricane state. This stuff is actually going to be damaged. This is going to play a
Sure.
role in energy prices and energy costs. It's not just easy saying, well, we just get it free from the sky, as if there are not other variables that can come and interfere with that. Ultimately, oil is still the most reliable.
No. I mean, you can have batteries. There's wind. There's geothermal. I'm not literally saying no more oil, only solar. That's ridiculous. We still have like 70% of our energy coming from natural gas power plants. What we need to do is just invest more in solar so that more of our grid doesn't entirely rely on oil. That's it.
Uh, I just don't think it's easy as you're going to say. Is this the only argument
What?
we're going to have? Because I wanted to go into a whole bunch of stuff. I wanted to sit
Sure.
down
What
with you
else do
for
you want to
three
talk about?
hours.
Okay,
3 hours.
we might not be giving you 3 hours, but we'll give you some more time. I mean, okay, are we disagreeing on investing in solar? Because I feel like we're pretty set on that,
I
right?
guess you can invest in solar if
Great.
you were like an independent agency, but you're trying to go for a government seat and legislate this stuff. It takes a little bit of different toll when you're trying to legislate things.
Are we legislating for oil companies? Are we subsidizing them?
Subsidizing is a
Yeah.
tough word. If you're talking about subsidizing by taxation, maybe, but that's not straight subsidizing.
That's
They're not
one of the
giving
main
oil
ways.
companies five million
Hey, wait,
dollars.
stop. That's literally one of the main ways that you do subsidizing in the government. So yes, that is
No,
subsidization. And so all I'm
subsidization.
saying
The
is don't
basic.
only subsidize oil companies, subsidize other forms of energy so we diversify our portfolio and make sure we have a more
That's
stable
a
grid.
Yeah, but that's a like a deep hole. These panels could be damaged. The
Yeah,
battery lifespans, long periods of like
like 30
just
years.
bad weather, inclement weather, where you're not storing it. You're still going to be
UV
oil
rays go
dependent.
through
There's a
clouds.
lot that goes on. You're just saying it like, yeah, let's just invest in solar panels, like it's the A1 solution, and it's not. It's a
It
lot of
it helps. It is an additional energy investment. It's not going to take over everything. It is one of the ways you can increase the stability and diversify your energy portfolio. And that there's no argument against that.
diversify your energy portfolio. Are we talking about investments here?
Yes, your energy grid is an investment in your state. And if you're only invested in one source of energy, like liquid natural gas or oil, then you have a horrible portfolio. And when, let's say, there are supply shocks, like Trump starting a war in Iran, that's going to hurt your state massively. But if your portfolio is diversified and you have some solar energy investment, then you're not going to be at a huge
No.
energy loss.
And then, and let's say, suppose that solar panels become the main source of energy that topples oil. These things are going to compete for land to try to keep up with the state's energy consumption. Now, land is going to be more expensive. You're literally actually going to cause inflation in other sectors
And you know what's
just by
fantastic about
expanding
solar?
this.
You can farm under a solar field. You can farm under a solar field. That's one of the fantastic things about it. When you're doing oil dredging, you're destroying the land. When you're placing a solar panel on top of a field, you can still farm under it. That's one of the amazing things about it,
Yeah,
right?
but we're competing for land doesn't only affect agriculture. Land is all of and everything. You're competing with everything for land. So for you to highlight that they can still farm under it doesn't speak to the totality of
Okay,
land
okay.
use.
So let's say they want to put a building on a piece of land. Then could you put the solar panels on top of the building?
Sure.
So then are you competing for the land at that point?
Yeah, but at that point, that would power the building, maybe half the building. I'm talking to you in the hypothetical scenario where the main state's consumption of energy is through solar panels.
Yes, that
Eventually, you're going to need to expand solar panel grid to a level where you're like taking up Walmart sized fucking land plots
yeah, and we're only doing that with oil. In fact,
all around
larger.
the state for millions of people to consume on the same level they were consuming for oil. Now you're imposing on the land. That's not gonna fully work, bro.
What doesn't work? Okay, seriously, what doesn't? You just said the way that you put solar energy, you give solar energy to society by putting it on top of buildings, putting it on top of parking lots. I mean, that is how you make sure that we get cheaper energy prices.
I don't
What's
think it's gonna be. It could be cheaper energy prices, maybe by inflating other sectors. Probably the
wait, you said the other sectors was land, but as we've just discussed,
but that's housing
solar panels
prices.
can
That's
just
gonna
go
affect
on.
housing prices.
How
That's
can
gonna
it?
affect rent,
It
leasing
would.
prices. What
This
home
is
prices?
it literally makes them go, oh my god. Actually, home prices technically can go up because you've invested in your house. So putting a solar panel on your house actually sometimes increases property values.
Sometimes.
But it decreases energy prices of the state, which is a huge factor for inflation in the first place. And again, they just go on top of housing. Or you can just, I mean, they want to do massive 600,000 square foot AI data centers. It'd be a much better use of that land to put solar fields on them than AI data centers. Can we agree on that?
Your only hope is no, we can't agree on that. We can't agree on that.
Okay, well, look, I think we've had a good faith conversation. If you want to call back another time,
Let
what
me
was your
ask
name
you
again?
something.
All right, all right.
Bretta,
Oh, that
why
is
don't
your
you
name.
move around the space more? Why don't you move around the space? You only stay in your live?
What? I mean, because there's a narrow frame that I can be in so
Talking to
everyone can
you
see
about
me.
the TikTok political space, guy.
Why don't? What do you mean? What do you mean? Why don't I move around? Like I'm just standing there and just like that? Is that what you're talking about?
You being deliberately dumb, or what are you doing right now?
No, What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, I never seen you before. You just
Oh,
started?
oh no. I mean, I have like 20,000 followers. It's not a lot, but it's pretty
Yeah,
good.
but you probably
That being
doing
said,
making
like,
like
share,
goofy little
subscribe.
videos and shit. I'm talking about like moving around the space and actually debating people.
I debated Charlie. Well, debate. I destroyed Charlie Kirk. I
You didn't.
destroyed what's her face, Caitlin Bennett.
Hold on a
Uh,
second.
so like, I mean, is that what you're
Careful how
talking
you
about? Do you
talk
want me to? Do
about
you want me
Martin
to just
Luther
talk
King.
constantly brag about who I've been destroying?
Hold on, just
There was this.
careful how you
There
talk
was
about
this
Martin Luther King.
huge Republican talking head I just destroyed. His name is Breda. That guy was really high up there.
Shut the fuck up, yo. All right, I'm out of here, man.
All right, wait. Have a good one. Can you tell everyone to like, share, and subscribe?
Yo, like, share, subscribe,
I
and join
appreciate it.
this community and gift him and help him and like his live to 1,000 lives. But don't vote for him because we don't need his policies.
You were so close. All right, have a good one there. All right, that was a good guy. Well, I mean, not his policy, but I agree with what he said about like, sharing, subscribe. But he's a bot, not a good faith actor. I don't know if he's a bot. I think he's just misinformed. But he's willing to like have an actual conversation. All right, we're taking Cam up. Crowdsourcing is on deck.